In today's episode of Connecting Cultures, how did a Moldovan girl learn Kazakh? I started to tell my parents that I want to study in the Kazakh class because I was already interested in Kazakh culture back then. Learn Kazakh every Friday. Alla came up with an idea to conduct Kazakh lessons for colleagues on Fridays, and we decided to go for it. What kind of events are held in the capital's House of Friendship? At the moment, 21 ethnocultural associations are located here in the House of Friendship. Everyone has their own office where they can hold different events. Representatives of all nationalities of Kazakhstan make a significant contribution to the development of the country. Among young people, there are those who set a great example to others. They thoroughly study the Kazakh language and culture. One of them is the Moldovan girl, Alla Chechetkina. Today we will get to know her better. My name is Alla Chechetkina. I am a representative of the Moldovan people. I was born in the Amangildi district of Kostanay region. I grew up in the village of Tasты. My parents moved there at a very difficult time. Representatives of different nationalities lived in our village. There were Kazakhs, Germans, and Ukrainians. I remember those days very well. It was hard for everyone. My parents worked from morning till night, and I was constantly near the house of our neighbor, Grandmother Kumus. As soon as she noticed me, she immediately invited me in. She called me red-haired girl. She gave me tea or a homemade kefir. I sat on her lap. I still remember her warm hands, bracelets on her arms, the camisole she wore. I remember even the scarf on her head. All this has remained in my memory to this day. Alla, who grew up in the caring atmosphere of Grandmother Kumus, became interested in the way of life and culture of Kazakh people. The stories of neighbor's grandmother inspired the girl to learn Kazakh. This is how the Moldovan girl became the Kazakh red-haired girl. In the evenings, she milked the cows and always sang Abay songs at the time. I joined her in singing, although I didn't know the songs at the time. This awoke in my love for the Kazakh language. But then I studied at a Russian school. I started to tell my parents that I want to study in the Kazakh class because I was already interested in Kazakh culture back then. Alla's parents did not interfere with her desire to learn the Kazakh language. On the contrary, they supported their daughter. And within the school walls, the eagerness to learn of the Moldovan girl were noticed by the teachers, who not only supported her efforts, but also began to send her to various competitions. In school, my teacher Jamal Apay sent me to various Olympiads and language competitions. I participated in the Abay readings and in song and dance competitions. I won prizes. In the 11th grade, I improved my level of Kazakh so much that I became the winner of competitions on a national scale. First of all, I consider this a merit of my first teacher, but my efforts also played a role, and of course, the support of my parents. This interest in the Kazakh language seemed to set the direction for Alla's future. Today, she is a public activist, a supporter of the Kazakh language. She believes that knowledge which is not shared is useless. Therefore, now Alla teaches Kazakh and works tirelessly to enhance the prestige of the state language. I believe that a person should know the language of the country in which he lives. Every citizen of Kazakhstan should strive for this. Now I use my knowledge not just to show off myself, but to share my experience, talk about traditions, so that everyone knows the Kazakh language and culture. I'm putting in a lot of effort for this, now giving lessons. I'm always ready to help anyone who has questions or has a desire to learn the state language.
Адамға мен әрқашанда осы мемлекеттік тілге қатысты бір сұрақтары болса, үйренем десе, мен көмектесуге дайынмын.
A Moldovan woman fluent in the Kazakh language lives in the capital. She came here by special invitation. Alla is a public relations specialist at the National Center for the Quality of Road Assets.
Мен 2013 жылы Ахмет Байтұрсынов атындағы
In 2013, I graduated from Ahmet Baitursunov Kostanay State University with a degree in journalism.
мен қайтадан сол жоғарғы
7 years later, I returned there and received my master's degree.
қазіргі уақыт
Now I live in the capital. I work at the National Center for the Quality of Road Assets. I work in the press service in the Public Relations Department.
істеймін. Баспасөз қызметі, қоғаммен байланыс бөлімінде маман болып жұмыс істеймін.
Welcome to the National Center for Quality of Road Assets. This is my workplace. The purpose of our company is to check the quality of roads. Additionally, we deal with safety issues. In addition to her main work, Alla is engaged in social activities. For example, on her initiative, Friday was declared the Day of the Kazakh language. They provide Kazakh classes every Friday with the staff of the center. Also, they cover the traditions and customs of the Kazakh people. This way, the Moldovan girl tries to introduce each person closer to the Kazakh culture. Alla came up with an idea to conduct Kazakh lessons for colleagues on Fridays, and we decided to go for it. She brings borsaks and curd from home. She explains everything related to traditions. When we first started doing this, she wore the national dress. Then she offered to launch Kazakh cues on our televisions, and we agreed.
Бұл ең біріншіне ұлттық құндылықтарымызды насихаттау.
This is primarily the promotion of national values. For example, I still don't know a lot either. Our grandmothers share their memories, tell some stories. We analyze some proverbs, discuss what they're about, what value they carry. We have whole discussions on this topic. In addition to these events, we pay great attention to documentation in order to gradually accustom employees to use the Kazakh language everywhere.
Жаңағы біздің ұлттық тілімізді насихаттаймыз.
One of Alla's undertakings is a children's drawing competition. Here are our winners. We held this competition among children from 3 to 16 years old. The roads of the future through the eyes of our children. So they drew what the road of the future should be. Here in the villages, in the cities, what, in their opinion, the roads should be like. All this was suggested and organized by Alla. Every year we hold such contests dedicated to the Independence Day. More than 100 children participate. Alla Chechetkina considers it her vocation to teach as many people as possible to speak Kazakh. Therefore, she is very happy when the leadership of the center accepts and approves her proposals. And now she, with special diligence, conducts Kazakh lessons for her colleagues. In our company, we have a day of support of the Kazakh language every Friday. In addition, we conduct language lessons for those Kazakhs who do not speak the language. Everyone can participate. We usually choose a time convenient for everyone when we can give a lesson. Today we have a Kazakh lesson. As you can see, we start with a warm-up, working with Kazakh tongue twisters.
Көріп отырғандай, біз ең біріншіден тілімізді жаттықтырудан бастаймыз, яғни қазақтың жаңылтпаштарымен осы өзіміздің тілімізді жаттықтырамыз.
Alla's initiative was also supported by colleagues. They are sincerely interested in the project and are actively studying the Kazakh language every Friday.
С приходом Аллы у нас очень много чего изменилось.
With the arrival of Alla, a lot of things have changed, and such a small transformation has begun. Still, each person makes his own contribution. First of all, it motivated our employees to start learning the Kazakh language.
Казахский язык государственный. Я приступил к обучению.
I started learning it myself. I'm not always successful, but we try to do our best.
Люди, и вот это стимулирует.
But still, it motivates us. Now we read newspapers in Kazakh, and it all her doing. She helps us to develop useful habits, reading newspapers, speeches in Kazakh. You know what is interesting about Alla? She knows not only the language, but she's also aware of all the nuances of Kazakh culture.
Глубоко знает культуру.
At work, Alla has a special equipped studio. A Moldovan woman with a journalism education shoots programs about roads here. The program called Joly gives the viewer information about the quality of the roads and how they are made.
Мынау біздің кішігірім ғана студиямыз. Бұл студияда
This is our small studio. Here we shoot programs Jolashar, Jolakparat, as well as Көз Қарас. This is all for our YouTube channel, Joly. Next to me is my colleague Timirlan. He shoots all these programs in Russian, and I host the Kazakh version.
тілдегі нұсқаның жүргізушісімін.
The People's Assembly of Kazakhstan is an institution that unites representatives of different nationalities. For Alla, this is a special organization. She participates in all the activities of the assembly. In addition, various actions are held in the House of Friendship in Nur-Sultan.
Мен Қазақстан Халқы Ассамблеясының мүшесі.
I'm a member of the People's Assembly of Kazakhstan. Now we are in the House of Friendship of the city of Nur-Sultan. In this hall, with the participation of representatives of different nationalities, we hold different events. One of the main topics is interethnic harmony and friendship, as well as the prestige of the state language.
В Доме дружбы у нас здесь располагается.
Today in the House of Friendship, we have 21 ethnocultural associations. Each of them has their own office where they can gather and hold various events. There is no such thing that one event is held only by one center, where all get involved in this process in one way or another. I am the chairman of the Kyrgyz Ethnocultural Association. Let's say recently an Uzbek center held an event. We helped too. The same thing was, for example, with Maslenitsa. All ethnocultural associations get together, representatives of all ethnic groups, not only of Slavic nationality, but all of us. The House of Friendship is an organization that promotes the unity and friendship of representatives of different nationalities. In addition, the name of this institution speaks for itself. It is a symbol of friendship. After all united people have a great future.
Мир и согласие – это то, в чем мы живем, чем мы дышим.
Peace and harmony are what we live with, what we breathe in, that is present every day in our lives. And I think that every member of the Ethnocultural Association, every member of the People's Assembly of Kazakhstan, they probably understand the most acute tasks which not only the Assembly faces, but also our entire society.
Не только в ассамблее, стоящей в нашем обществе.
The House of Friendship hosts a special exhibition organized by the People's Assembly of Kazakhstan. It shows the contribution of representatives of each nationality to the development of Kazakhstan over the years of independence. The main objective of the exhibition is to promote harmony and highlight the importance
Даже
of unity.
сегодня, когда мы рассматриваем послание президента как такой месседж,
Even today, when we consider the President's address to the nation as such a message, I can personally say with confidence that multinational Kazakhstan, interethnic harmony in Kazakhstan, is a fact that we must recognize. It exists today. And for 30 years now, thank God, there have been no serious conflict on the territory of Kazakhstan based on interreligious, interethnic grounds. I think that one of the instruments, one of the institutions that provide this all is the People's Assembly of Kazakhstan.
одним из институтов, который обеспечивает вот это все, является Ассамблея народа Казахстана.
Мен үшін ассамблеяның алатын орны өте ерекше, өйткені бұл тек қана өзіңнің.
For me, the role of the Assembly is very important because it allows a representative of each nationality not only to speak their own language and preserve their traditions, but also study the traditions, customs, and culture of other peoples. After all, whatever culture you take, each is special and each is remarkable in its own way. And this constitutes our common home, the big country of Kazakhstan, in which we all live in peace and friendship.
Өмір сүріп жатырмыз. Негізінде Молдован ұлтының әртүрлі
There are many delicious dishes in Moldovan cuisine. There are meat dishes, corn dishes. Our people are very fond of various cereals. And today we will cook a dish according to my mother's recipe. It is called placinda. Let's start. First of all, we need flour, dill, parsley, cottage cheese, sunflower oil, salt, and water. Now we need to prepare the dough. For this, we need about 300 grams of flour. We take half a teaspoon of salt. We added salt to the flour, and now we add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Now we add water and knead the dough. The dough is ready. It needs to be set aside for 20 minutes in a bowl. Next, you need to chop the dill and parsley. We need about 100 grams of dill and parsley. They need to be finely chopped. There are several types of pies. Today we make it with a cottage cheese. In general, it can be cooked with potatoes or sauerkraut. It remains to mix the cottage cheese with herbs. The filling is ready. We have mixed everything. Now we need to roll out the dough. The thinner the dough is, the better. Then it will bake faster in the pan. Therefore, we try to roll out a thin dough. Cover the dough with 2 tablespoons of oil. While the dough was rolled out, it turned out to be about 2 millimeters thick. Now we lay out the filling. In each region, the placinda is cooked differently. I cook the way our family did it. This is how we twist it into a roll. We do it from both sides. We pour oil into a frying pan. 2 teaspoons are enough. And we put in our twisted roll. Now we just need to cover the placinda with a lid. The development of the country and its future are in the hands of active young people. The future looks bright as long as there are progressive, courageous, and open youth in the country. But it's the duty of every person not to distance oneself from the national culture. We believe that people like Alla, who speak the state language on an equal basis with our native language and know Kazakh traditions as well as their own, will become the engines of progress and will enhance the prestige of the Kazakh language. This year we celebrate the 30 years of our independence. May our multinational country prosper day by day, and it will only know peace and prosperity.